Jefferson Clay is an incredibly talented singer-songwriter, musician from San Antonio, Texas. This song is called Sun-Glo, and what was really unique about this song in terms of how we work together is that up until this song, all the demos Jeff would bring me were pretty much just acoustic guitar and vocals. Maybe there'd be like a drum sound or whatever, but it put a lot of the onus on me to sort of imagine the full version of the song. It became apparent early on that Jeff had a lot more ideas for his music than he was bringing to me at the demo stage. We had already done 5 songs, and with the 6th one, I felt like it was important to sort of put a little more of the onus on him to bring me something that was not close to being done, but that had pretty much every idea he already had for the song. Not just guitar and vocals, but if there's a bass sound you like, try to approximate that. If there's a drum idea you have, put it in there. If there's a synth part, whatever. Bring me a full demo the closest you can, because if you bring me something here, I can do everything I can and get it to here. But if you bring me something that's already up here, then together we can get it to here. And the vision's a lot clearer. The song has a darkness to it, even though it's about the sun. And I love that juxtaposition, and I really felt that early on. And I think that we achieved a really nice blend of that darkness and the optimism. So let's dive in. I want to play the intro and the first verse of the demo, and let's see if we can identify an element or two that we feel embody the mood of the song, something we want to latch onto as a producer and build around. Let's check it out.
Sleep from your tired eyes. Make bank at your 9 to 5. Have yourself a taste of the nightlife.
Everything is so simple. This bass sounds pretty awesome. Drums sound perfect. The vocal is something we're gonna recut in one way or another to fit the production once there's a solid foundation there. So the first thing I asked him was, what's up with this bass? It sounds awesome. It doesn't sound like any of my basses. What is this? It's like this $300 Fender Jaguar, like Squire bass, and like it's nothing. We should use one of yours. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It sounds like janky and weird, but more importantly, and I'm going to say this here in this episode right now, there is no substitute for an instrument you know well. It doesn't matter how nice the $3,000 Strat is if you've been playing on your $300 Strat your whole life. It's not about the gear, it's about how well you know the gear. So he said he's had this bass since he was like 12 or something, and I'm like, man, this thing sounds very comfortable to you. He said, well, the intonation's weird. It sounds weird. I said, well, listen, bring the bass in. We'll A-B your bass, and I got a jazz bass. I got a P bass. Let's try it all out. Obviously, we went with his bass because it sounds gnarly. So I want to play the demo bass tone, and then I want to play the final bass tone. I just want you to hear the subtle difference. Same bass, more or less the same part on the intro, but I want you to hear the difference in tone. And now here's the final bass. Hopefully you heard there's a lot more warmth, there's a lot more low end, there's also a lot more attack, a lot more bite. Normally I don't like to get too much into the tones and the technical side of this stuff because I think there's plenty of that on the internet. But in the case of this song, that was actually probably the most integral part of establishing the instrumental to be what we wanted it to be. Because the drums were so simple, because the bass line is so simple, I thought that what would make sense would be to keep the drums pretty much this static loop, and let's just craft the bass part to move with the narrative and melodic arc of the song. And if the tone is right and the drums stay static, we're gonna get a really nice arc to the song. And that's kind of the main thing I want to talk about is this bass is the foundation of the song. I didn't change any drum sounds. I think I maybe added a clap or something, but for the most part, it was the same as the demo, but we retracked the bass, dialed in a much more interesting tone because it needs to drive the song sonically. And then we just finessed the performance to make sure that it moved with the song and sort of supported the song as the song progresses. All right, so now that we've established the bass is sort of the driving force, the bass and the drums, let's just listen real quick to verse 1 and let's just hear how the bass and drums are interplaying. kick is so aggressive. It really helps the bass. Now I'm gonna put in the demo vocals.
Taste of the nightlife. You get rage, rub sleep from your tired eyes.
Final vocal.
Bank at your 9 to 5. Have yourself a taste of the nightlife.
Totally different vibe. Instead of just the lead, it's actually mostly a high octave and the lead vocal. To me, there wasn't enough energy in the top end of the vocal, so adding that high octave really helps add some harmonic balance to the song because the bass and kick are so gritty and so big and so low and take up a ton of space, take up a ton of real estate in this song. So that high octave just helps your ear kind of focus on the vocals still, and it allows the low end to just sort of support instead of take over what you're listening to. Let's move on. Here's the second half of verse 2, and we've added another element, which is vocal doubles. Because again, this song, like a lot of pop songs that we talk about here, they're based on a sort of static foundational idea, and we want to add things and subtract things at just the right time to keep the listener engaged.
You can have a Sunday, spend it ready Monday. Why, oh why? Said you had a long day, took it all the wrong way. My, oh my.
Lead vocal, high octave, doubles left and right, 2 separate doubles left and right, and they're modulating too, so they kind of sound alive. Here's the demo vocal in that same spot.
Said you had a long day, took it all the wrong way. My, oh my.
There was a double as well on the demo. The issue was he doubled the entire song. So we liked the sound of the double, but as with anything, if it's the same the whole way through, it's not very interesting. So that's another great example of how we take a good idea from the demo and figure out how to optimize it and how to find the best place to use it in the final version of the song. So now we get to the chorus. Love the chorus. I want to play you the demo chorus first.
We could stay high. I don't wanna feel low.
There's the acoustic guitar for the first time. Every other song we've done is all acoustic guitar. This song is like, hey, guess what? No acoustic guitar until the chorus. And when it's in, it's almost a percussion instrument. It's not even really a chordal instrument. Here's the final chorus, the final version chorus.
I don't wanna feel low. I wanna stay at home, baking in the Sun-Glo.
If you have headphones on, which I recommend, you'll hear the guitar that we did. The only time there's any guitar for us actually is just this little riff at the end of that chorus. So we don't even have the demo guitar in on this chorus. Listen in context to the whole song here. Pretty cool. So that's another thing we've changed from the demo is we're waiting on this acoustic guitar. We introduce enough new elements on the first chorus that it's kind of overkill to add the guitar. And the most important of those elements is a second bass line, which sounds like this. Kind of in the same register as the acoustic guitar also. Here's what the main bass. You hear those really subtle little nuances to these bass lines. That's the whole idea. So because we brought in that high octave on the bass, we don't need the acoustic guitar. That would be overkill, especially this early in such a sparse song. Let's look at the drums, because the drums have been simple to this point and now they sound a little bit more complex. We still got our kick and claps, the same as the verse. Some percussion. Oh, and a vibra slap. Instead of a crash cymbal, vibra slap. Love a vibra slap. I use it often. And there's a swell, I think. And then, of course, we got to do something with the vocal because we don't just want to leave a clean vocal. And what we did was we added a harmony. We actually removed the octave and we removed the double and we just had a harmony. So the harmony is nice because it just sort of gives a lift to this chorus and differentiates it from the verse. So here's the chorus vocals.
I don't wanna feel low.
There's something cool on the downbeat, this sound. That works with the vibra slap. And well, let's listen to that. It's pretty cool. This is all in lieu of some kind of crash cymbal. We're not leaning on the drums to do any of the transition work. We are leaning on the drums to be a very steady experience while the bass does that and some other instruments. Verse 2, taking verse 1, we're bringing in the high octave bass for, now that we've introduced it, that's in. It's doing its own thing. You can see it kind of does a fill, ducks out, and then comes back in with the lead bass.
We could have a slow dance on a roof wearing no pants. We get stoned and make a plan to ride banks in a minivan.
And right there is where we have our acoustic guitar really for the first time. Love that. That is based on a mistake in the demo that I thought was cooler than getting it right. And now the guitar becomes chords. Everything that keeps this song interesting has to do with how well Jeff performed such simple parts. There's such a pocket to this stuff where the guitar slides up, where the bass slides down. All that stuff happens in time. It fills what otherwise would be really boring, empty space with something that feels alive. It's really important when this song is so empty. So we want something that just evokes that, oh, there's a human hand. There's a tactile experience happening here. But verse 2, arrangement-wise, is more or less the same as verse 1. And now that the acoustic guitar is in, we're going to bring it in on chorus 2, and chorus 2 is going to be even bigger. And it's the Jefferson we all know and love because it's got some acoustic guitar. So here's chorus 2.
Oh, we can stay high. I don't wanna feel low. I wanna stay at home.
Great bass fill. Doom, 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 with the little slide. That, again, that would be a drum if you were thinking more traditionally. That's the drums. Here's the bass. Here's our guitar. That's our new groove for the second chorus. Now, I want to show you the guitar. It's pretty interesting. Here's the primary acoustic guitar. There's a second acoustic guitar we added that's kind of doing something really interesting. Slightly different chord voicing, and you probably notice it's sort of swelling, almost like an EDM song, like a sidechain type thing. And that against the primary acoustic sounds like this. It's just giving us upbeats against the downbeats. And it's ducking for that reason, kind of a modern effect, and then it's panned left and right, so you've got a really full guitar sound. And we've got, of course, this was in the demo. He thought it was corny. The waves in the rain sound like a dream. You wish you could be on the ocean, when in fact you are locked in your room, baking in the Sun-Glo. So there's waves and rain happening this whole song, and I think it's really awesome. We've also added vocal doubles on the second chorus that weren't in the first chorus. So that's pretty standard arrangement stuff. And again, because Jeff brought so much of a palette already, a lot of that arrangement stuff was pretty intuitive. You know, it's a pretty standard song form. Until the end of chorus 2, which in the demo goes to this kind of just restatement of the chorus. Which I felt sounded more like an outro. And Jeff said he actually had written a bridge that he didn't record in the demo. And I said, well, let's hear the bridge. And he played it for me. And I said, that's great. I love that. And so we put the bridge in instead of that sort of just restatement of the chorus. Here's out of the second chorus into this bridge that wasn't in the demo.
We could change.
Boom, boom, boom. That little bass walk up. We had to write that into this bass part that didn't have it before to transition into the bridge. Again, because we don't want the drums to lead the transition. We want the bass to really overtly lead the transitions. It's only bass and vocals on this. So it's all about the bass part and the rhythm of the bass part being just right against the vocals and the rhythm of the vocals.
We could change our names like you always wanted. You'll be Jane and I'll be Doe. We could change our names.
So that's the bridge, and then we got the last chorus.
Or we could stay.
This is the only time we use drums and percussion as a transition instead of bass. And it's just that boop, boop, boop. There's one more element that we add on the last chorus, and that's to introduce counter melody. I heard a melody on the outro, and I suggested we whistle it because there's a whistle on the intro, and it goes like this. Obviously a lot more than a whistle going on there. I don't even know how we did all those sounds. Super cool. But without it, here's the last chorus. Couple new elements, but it's not different enough from any of the other choruses to be a payoff. We've been going through this whole journey, this tension and release, this bridge where we ultimately just kind of give up and just say, let's have a good time where we are. And so because of that, this last chorus has a little more of a happiness to it. And whistles always sound happy. It's hard to make a whistle sound sad. Here's the last chorus with the counter melody whistle. Take the vocals out for a second. Instrumental is fire, which is always important. You want to make sure that when you take the vocals out, you're like, oh, this is a vibe with or without the vocals. But with the vocals, obviously, it's just like it's everything. And counter melody, it's really easy to overdo counter melody. With Jeff, a lot of times we use it as a way to uplift a section away from something we've been doing before, because we've kind of exhausted using harmonies, using doubles, using octaves. So we need, to me, the next logical place, without adding new instruments, is to use the voice or whistle and a counter melody. Because the ear's already locked into the original melody. It knows it by the third chorus, so you can introduce that. And only introduce it if it's equally as compelling of a melody. Don't just do it for the sake of it. This melody to me is like, it's great. There is no right way to produce a song. How you get to the shared goal of making the best music possible is entirely up to you. In the case of this song, I wanted to empower Jeff as much as possible so that together we can make something that really spoke to who he is as an artist in a more elevated way than we had in the past. And I think we achieved that. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time. And until next time, peace.
I don't wanna feel love.